Okay, here we are. First, I want to thank everybody for joining us today. So what we're going to do today, this is me. I'd like to thank B&H and Sony for the opportunity to do this presentation. I'm Jeff Berlin, and I am a photographer. And what I want to encourage everybody is, let's see, I don't think there's a way that I can actually see the chat window while I'm doing this from my presenter view. So because of that, I'm going to ask you all to, if anybody has any questions or comments, put them in the chat. Once I'm done with getting through all the slides, we'll get into the chat and we'll address everything, and it'll be super fun to have a little bit more of a conversation, because I always encourage more of an exchange back and forth. But anyway, I'm a photographer. I have a long background shooting fashion and beauty and celebrity portraits and aviation and Western lifestyle and rodeo. And but I just wanted to kind of start with a few images to kind of give you an idea of what I do. And so this is a story that I did with two stars of the film The Hunger Games. And let's see. This is the actress Jamie Presley. This is an image that I've always just really liked, so I always show it in every time I do a presentation. This is Jesse Metcalf. Oh, here is a way to open the chat. Look at this. Bam. I just was able to do it. Now I see everybody. I can see. Okay, cool. So I'm going to move that there. And here we are. Okay, this is Jesse Metcalf. This was a fashion story on location at the airport. I sometimes like to mix genres, so celebrity portraits, fashion, and aviation. This is kind of some of the aviation stuff that I do. These are a couple of covers from Flying Magazine. I'm also a pilot, so you know, it helps to be a pilot when you're shooting this kind of thing and you're directing airplanes. Today, we're going to talk about directing models. I actually did a presentation for B&H about directing airplanes. It's completely different, as you would expect. This is one of my shots from the Reno Rodeo, made it onto the cover of the Reno Rodeo magazine that they give out, or that they sell at the rodeo every year. And it's a couple more shots from the rodeo. Actually, the way I approach rodeo is very, very fashion driven. I'm always looking for faces, and that again, I did a presentation for B&H about shooting rodeo, and I'm sure that you could find that also if you searched in the B&H YouTube or Vimeo. Okay, so we're going to talk about directing models. Let's get to number one. And because I don't have presenter view, let's see what number one is. Build a relationship with your models. This is super critical when your model comes onto set. Come on, here we go. There we go. Your model is there. She's reading. You're not shooting. And she walks in. And welcome. And so you're on set. You're working with your models. You're giving them direction. You're giving them tone. You're giving them the attitude. You're giving them, you're there to shoot, you know, to execute on this creative mission. And you want, you know, everything is a collaboration with your models. They are going to channel everything that you're trying to convey to them into the image. And so it's a constant dialogue. So when the model walks in, like we just saw in that little video I just showed, even before hair and makeup is being done, I am chatting her up or him up, and we're getting to know each other, and we're building a rapport. You know, you want to build a relationship. So when you are on set like this, it's not the first time you're talking to them. Don't just greet them and go back to, you know, setting up your lights and working with your assistant and all kinds of stuff like that. Spend time with your model, schmooze them, and build that relationship. So when, you know, you're giving them direction, and then you get the shot that you need. And that was from a video. Number two, so it's all about communication. It really is. And again, you know what, this is actually part of communication. Use mechanical shutter. So I shoot with the A7R5. I shoot with the Sony Alpha 1. We have electronic shutter option, which is great when it makes sense to use electronic shutter, but there are times when you're shooting fashion, like especially like full frame fashion, you know, like this, when you use a mechanical shutter and the model, your subject, the celebrity, your model, whoever you're shooting, here's that click. That's affirmation. That means to them that they know that they're doing a good job, that you approve of what they're doing, that you're affirming that they are doing what you want them to do. And so the oral trigger, the sound of the click is really critical. So, you know, here I am, I'm behind the scenes, a little bit of light control and under, you know, natural light in the middle of this arena. And, you know, there's the shot. I'm directing them. It's a constant dialogue. And the click of the shutter lets my actors, my subjects know that they are doing a good job. Same thing here again, full frame fashion. If I was using electronic shutter, even though there's a little bit of a little electronic sound that comes out of the speaker on the camera, little pseudo click, so to speak, it's really not enough. And so I want the model to know that I approve. You're doing good, click. So very important. Again, it's all part of communication. 3, openly communicate with your subject. Again, it's just what I've been saying. It's that continual dialogue of constant. I don't know what I was saying here with her face like that. It's very funny, but it's a continual dialogue where, you know, you're giving them direction and then they give you exactly what you want. So, you know, I could be saying, relax your hand, or tilt your face this way a little bit, or tilt that way, or relax your shoulders, or move your shoulders this way, or turn this way. It's a constant dialogue. It's communication. In film, you know, fashion film, sound usually isn't an issue. So I'm constantly talking. Obviously, when I'm shooting fashion stills or beauty stills, you know, I'm constantly directing my model saying, you know, tilt this way, tilt that way, shoulders this way, you know, shift your weight, whatever. It all, you know, just depends what I'm saying is in the moment, what I'm looking for. Very important to learn to work quickly. When you have celebrities on set, you often don't have a lot of time, like with Kurt Russell. You know, we were down at the airport and, you know, time is limited. You know, there could be a publicist, you know, kind of timing you. You have 10 minutes with a celebrity sometimes. You know, when you're shooting fashion, a fashion story, when I shoot, for example, with this client, we have maybe 25 shots, 25 outfit changes to get through in a day. Sometimes more than that. I think I've shot as many as 30 with them. So, you know, you don't have a lot of time to shoot and to figure out what you're doing. Learn to work quickly, get it dialed in and do it. Again, here, this was just one shot, that's another shot, you know, and this was, again, another shot from that same day, just working through and just powering through. And again, you know, celebrity, same thing. You know, you don't have a lot of time. You have a number of shots to get through, learn to work quickly. Amanda Peet on set for a TV show, you know, don't have a lot of time. Just get the shot and get in and out. Same thing here with Patrick Dempsey, not a lot of time. He was in between, he was on set here. So it's like, get the shot and get him back on set. Number 5, have a plan. Critical to working quickly, to go back a second, have a plan. So when your model is on set and when you're, and when your model walks out on set, make sure that you are already ready, because you really, you know, you can't be fumbling around, kind of working on your camera settings and getting the light dialed in. You know, you have to be ready when they're out there. When they're out there, you know, you got to be ready to go. So I thought this was an interesting quote by Clint Eastwood. Too many directors don't know what they're doing. They'll do multiple takes on scenes and try out different angles and lighting. I don't like that. If you can't see it yourself straight away, you shouldn't be a director. It's the same thing with shooting stills fashion. Have it, you can't be figuring it out and changing the light when you got to get through your shots. So get the light dialed in. I always use a light meter. So this shot, for example, this is actually shot on a virtual stage. So that's a LED volume wall behind her. And this was a shot I did for a client I don't know, maybe 8 weeks ago. And when our model came out on set, we were ready. This was actually a BTS shot. We went in the day before and we did a whole pre-light for a number of different shots. So you can see like that light box, that soft box that's above her, that chimera, it's off. It wasn't in use on this shot. You can see on the right, there's another octabox that's not in use also. And so on this, the only light was actually that light behind her, and you can see the volume wall, and it had a little bounce. And so everything was pre-lit and preset. So when our model came out, we're like, okay, this is our Days of Heaven shot. And that's this light and this bounce. And we knew exactly what we're going to do. So when she got out there, we were ready, and we were ready to go. And same thing here, for example, I pulled up to this house, and you can see that there's that cactus. And I was like, all right, we have a lot of shots to get through today. That cactus, I thought, wow, that cactus under direct sun really was super, super cool, super simple, super graphic. It reminded me of Herb Ritz, what he does with direct light. And so I threw our model out there, and I was like, I'm going to do something with our model under direct light. You're thinking fast, you're working fast, and you have a plan. Number 6. I have 15 of these. So I'm moving a little quickly, but it's just kind of a lot of slides. So number 6, make it fun. It's so important when you're working with your models that they have a good time, because that you can tell in the pictures when they're having a good time. So what does that look like? How do you make it fun? You have good music, the right music on set. You set the tone with music. You got to think about it. There are people right now, how privileged are we? How lucky are we? I always try to stay in gratitude. Right now, there are people working at Amazon loading trucks and loading boxes. But we are on set making beautiful photos. That's our job. So how blessed are we? How lucky are we to be able to do that for work? So it's fun, make it fun. It's work, do a good job, make sure you're satisfying the job. But I mean, my goodness, we get to make pretty pictures. So again, here, this was shot in Paris a while back, and we were kind of channeling a little bit of The Avengers, which is this kind of cool TV show from the 60s, 70s, whatever it was, I think the 60s. And so I told our model, Sandra, like, pretend we're in The Avengers and superhero, like like secret agent, kind of feeling. And, she kind of really got into it. And we had a real good time. And I think the pictures show that she kind of was like having fun, pretending to be a secret agent. So, make it fun, give them a scenario, and it's super cool. Number 7, make sure your models are comfortable, but get the shot. So for example, here, it's not the most comfortable to stand there, look just right while you're holding on your heel, balancing in heels, trying to not really look like you're leaning too much against the wall, because I don't want her to look like she's leaning back too much, and hold it and get it dialed in. So yes, I'm really, I'm concerned about our model being comfortable, but I'm really less concerned about being comfortable than getting the shot. And again, here, like with our model on the left, I just wanted her to be standing a certain way, hand a certain way, probably not super comfortable the way her hand was on the prop, but it looked right. And, just kind of, again, this is another shot from that airplane series. It's not always comfortable, but you are, compromising comfort for, how it needs to look. And again, here, with our actor on this kind of gallery shoot that we were doing, I can't recall how many times he had to do this to get this, but, it's not fun jumping, and, it's to do it right, to jump and get the face right and the hands right and the position right and everything, it's work, and it takes multiple takes and multiple attempts, and it becomes a challenge. But you got to get it in, you got to dial it in, you keep doing it until it's right, and then that's what you end up with. And that's really important. We're there to, we're not there to have fun, we're there to do a job. And yes, make it fun, and but get it done. And comfort is important, We want the models to always look comfortable, even though they may not be comfortable. So that's also, something that you're working through with your model, making sure that they look comfortable, that they look relaxed, even though they may not be. And again, here, this was another shot from a few weeks ago, shot against one of those volume walls. So this is a big LED screen behind her. But, we threw that pole up to make it look like she was kind of strap hanging in the subway. But you would be surprised, like how I wanted her to be just a certain way. And because I wanted everything to just be just so. And so, she had to hold this position for multiple takes. And, it's very specific. I'm very, very specific with what I want. And it's not always comfortable, but it pays off in the end. Number 8, always pay attention to everything. This is super critical because, when we are on set, the hair needs to be right. The hands need to be right. The clothing needs to be right. The expression needs to be right. The attitude needs to be right. The feeling needs to be right. So here, we're on set. Obviously, this was set up where I had our hairstylist go out and, we did the picture. This is one of the photos that actually ran in the magazine with him there. And kind of fun. But, everything about the outfits, you're paying attention to. Can you see, like, for example, it's like really important. Let me see what the next picture is. Let me go back to this one. The skirt, you don't want to see the back of the skirt kind of coming down from the front of the skirt. Everything, is the skirt bunching? Is the shirt bunching? Yes, there's Photoshop, but, I never like to say, oh, I'm just going to leave it, and we'll just fix it in post. I don't like that. I want to get it right on set. So I'm never going to be the guy that says, oh, just leave it and we'll fix it in post. I want to get it right in camera. So that's what I always do. And, I want everything to lay right with the garments. We're fashion photographers. Do the fashions look right? And that's super important. And here, the makeup. I watch the makeup going on. I'm there watching. Is the makeup exactly how I want it? Is it being, I want a makeup artist that has a really light hand, a light touch. I don't want makeup that's heavy. You see on Instagram, all these makeup influencers with just this incredibly heavy makeup with all this contouring. And I mean, it looks absolutely ridiculous. I'm sorry. And this is not fashion. I don't know what Instagram makeup is, but that's not what we want. That's not what I want. I don't ever want to see that on my set. And I'll have, I actually have a story that I'm going to be telling in a slide that's coming about being the bad guy, but I have no problem, you're directing everything, as a photographer, you are the ringleader of the shoot. Everybody is taking notes from you. Obviously, the photographer is taking notes from the client and the creative director, the art director, whoever's there with you. But otherwise I'm driving the ship. And so, hair and makeup, I'm driving that. Stylist, I'm working with them. You are really, the decider. You're discussing everything and concerned with everything. So hair and makeup going on. I'm watching the makeup. I'm checking last look of the makeup as she comes out onto set before I push the button for the camera. Same thing, with hair. Does everything look right before you go to camera? And again, here, just like, again, there's almost like no retouching on this because I'm getting everything in camera. Is the dress right? So we're pulling the dress down to make sure that the contours are right. Is the hair right? We're just making sure it's slick and in camera. I have the hair and makeup people right next to me and everything is just being tweaked in the moment. So, and the stylist right there, everything is being tweaked in the moment. So it's right. And I don't have to go into Photoshop and create a photo and make a photo out of, even compositing multiple. It's right in camera. Number 9, understand what is good and what is not as good. This is super important. It's hard to illustrate. I actually will be addressing this again in another talk, but you're only as good as your taste. This is why you're being hired. So anyway, I threw this beauty shot in because I just really like the light on it. But, you're being hired for your sensibility. So it's important to know what makes something good and recognize what might make something not so good. So again, I was just talking about like that makeup for, that Instagram influencer, makeup where they're, contouring the hell out of their face, and the makeup is so thick that there's a girl under there somewhere, but you can't see her face because there's so much makeup. So recognize what might make something not so good in styling, in makeup and hair, in light, in position, in composition, in retouching and post. I mean, how many times have we seen photos, that are just completely overdone? The styling is bad. The makeup and hair is too heavy. The hair is bad. It's just bad hair. So many flyaways, just messy. It's just not well done, not controlled, poor lighting, overlit, or just like clamshell lighting that just looks lame, just poorly lit. We see it all the time. Position, an awkward position that the model's in. I mean, and people, obviously they're putting it out there, and you see this, all the time, because they don't know the difference between what's good and what's not in composition and in retouching. I mean, retouching, my goodness, I can't tell you how many times, I see something that is completely over retouched. And, just like I was saying with makeup, there's a model under there somewhere, but, it's so heavily retouched that, there's no, it looks like an illustration practically. Knowing when enough is enough, and when too much is too much. That's really, really important. And that just comes from experience and sensibility and, just kind of time. And again, here's just another shot. This was kind of fun on set. This was lit with a breezy, actually, which is a super cool parabolic light source. Photographers will overlight, overfill, over flash fill, allow over styling and over retouch. Know how to recognize that, so you don't fall into this group where you're overlighting and overfilling and over flash filling, where your model is out on location and you've just flash filled it and it just looks artificial. And there are so many influencers out there who don't know what they're doing, and they shouldn't be influencers. They're influencers because they're not working for magazines. And I'm a little snobby about it. Yes. And yeah, sure. It's good. There are a lot of good influencers too. Don't get me wrong, but there are a lot that would never get hired for a magazine, and they're out there giving advice, and you really need to be picky with who you take advice from, because all of that will bring the level of your work down. And that's, that's not going to get you hired. So this Thursday at 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern, I'm going to go into this in much more depth right here on B&H. Okay, number 10. Don't shoot on railroad tracks. I see it all the time. It's super dangerous and it can be illegal. And I'm just putting this in because people have died shooting on railroad tracks, and it's just not worth it. Number 11, don't be afraid to be the bad guy. Okay, so here's that story that I was talking about, that I mentioned earlier. I was in Paris shooting for L'Oreal. This was my first job shooting a hair ad for L'Oreal. And I mean, major client. It took, a lot to get it coordinated with my agent. We were in the studio. We booked this beautiful studio. We had everything set up. Oh, so one thing that, of interest and relevant to the story is that we wanted the advertising agency, and L'Oreal specifically had a hairstylist that they wanted to do this job. But my agent and I we always have our team. That's one thing. When you start working, you start developing surrounding yourself with a team that you work well with. You sync with them well, your sensibilities align, you can trust, you can start trusting them, that that they're going to do what you want them to do without having to micromanage and hover over them. And that's always what you want. You want a team you can trust and a team that aligns with your sensibilities. So we wanted our team on this job. So, they hired me because of what I do, which is what I do with my team. But the client wanted their hairstylist on it. So we were able to, of course, it's the client, you compromise. Okay, fine. You can have your hairstylist. We were able to bring our makeup artist. So that was cool. So we start the day and the model goes into makeup and hair, and the makeup goes on and hair starts, done. And, it's out, it takes a long time to get hair done. And so, we're out on set, I'm there with my assistants and we're getting everything dialed in on set, the lighting and everything like that. Because the way I shoot this was a mixed lighting of strobe and continuous lighting. So that there was a specific, it's actually very mathematical, to be honest, the way the distances of the lights and the background and everything. It was, it's very important when you're a beauty photographer, fashion photographer, that what you do is repeatable. If you're hired to do something that's in your portfolio, that's on your website, make sure you can do it over and over and over, and it's going to look exactly the same and perfect. So I'm out there getting everything dialed in with my assistants. Hair and makeup gets done, model comes out, and the hair was wrong. The hair was off. It looked like a helmet. It just was not right. It wasn't of the level that it should be in a L'Oreal ad. And I went with my agents and we're talking, and I said, look, this is not right. We have to do something. So I went to because I'm the photographer and I'm the ringleader and the final buck stops with me. It was up to me to go to the hairstylist. And, meanwhile, it's like midday, it's been all morning getting hair and makeup done. So it's midday and I go to him and I said, look, we can't shoot this hair. It's not right. We're going to go to lunch. You're going to work with our model and you're going to wash her hair and you're going to start over. And this is what it's going to be like. So we go to lunch and we come back but he was really, really angry and I did not make a friend that day. But, I'm not there to make friends. I'm there to get the shot. And that means that the hair and the makeup need to be right. And so that's what, I had to do. And we ended up getting the shot and that was great. And it worked out, but you got to do what you got to do. All right. So there is a, let's see, from YouTube. Thanks for sharing. Would you share some posing guidelines, things you would not have in frame, positions of face, arms, hands, legs, angles. Also, you please share vocabulary you use to direct models to adjust a pose to get certain pose, for example, chin up and tilt your head, things like that. Yeah, totally. So show your talent the results. This is also really, really important. Our cameras, one of the things that I really like about the Sony cameras is that, yes, it has the screen on the back and you can use that, but it has this fantastic EVF that I always tell the model. I walk up to them and I'm like, look in the peeper, because I just think it's kind of funny, the peeper, but look in the viewfinder, and it gives them a really, really clear view of what I'm getting in camera. Even if you're shooting tethered, I always record in camera and I'm always continually showing the model what we're doing. It's really important. So, they know exactly how to be, and I'll get to some terminology and this and that, but it's, just to comment right now while I have this photo up, I'll just talk about it a little bit here. So kind of the things I'm saying for her, I'm like, just be really, one thing that you have to understand is when you're on set shooting, everything is, it's very contextual. So, I could, if I was on set now working with this girl, her name is Kimberly, I was telling her, let's just be really relaxed and be really easy, breathing, chin down. And, everything is very minute in movements for me when I'm doing something like this. Nothing, I don't like to leave anything for chance. So while I say that, like everything is very calculated, at the same time, when I'm shooting, I like to let things happen and see how hair falls, for example. Like, I'll have a model for hair, for example, if I'm shooting hair, or not even, if I'm just shooting fashion, I'll have her flip her hair and flip it back and let it, see how it falls. You're constantly refreshing the hair so it doesn't get stale and doesn't get flat. And, so I'm constantly having her flip her hair. I'm having her come out of a pose and back into a pose so it doesn't get stale. Same thing with, like these are all guidelines. So for example, I'm constantly having her breathe. Make sure you're breathing. Make sure you're breathing. Don't get fixated on the camera, because when you get fixated, your eyes can start watering. You can forget to blink. Make sure you don't forget to blink. Keep breathing. Keep relaxed. A lot of the time, I'll tell a model to keep relaxed between her eyebrows. You can start showing tension there, and you can start seeing tension in your mouth. So I'll be saying, relax, keep relaxed, relax your tension. I see tension in your mouth. Relax your mouth. I'll say, relax your mouth. Or I'll say, relax here between your eyebrows. And I'll just do a little kind of back and forth. And then she'll just kind of come out of it and go back into it. And again, it's like chin down. Give me just a quarter inch down, or just chin, just tilt your face down just a little bit, or chin up just a quarter inch or a half an inch, or just tilt over just a little bit more of an angle. And it's all very, very minute and very, very specific. I'm very specific also, just to kind of address this, with the height of the camera. I don't want to be shooting under her chin where I'm seeing, up her neck, for example, or something like that. Hands always very relaxed. We'll work through, but it's very much like that. Again, when you're shooting for L'Oreal and high-end clients, act and dress appropriately. So you're not going to get on set with a photo vest. Really, you're shooting high fashion. You're in the big leagues. Don't look like this. Don't wear some kind of funny, camera strap thing. And about acting appropriately, dress for the part. Always dress for the part. You're a fashion photographer. You're working in the big leagues. Look like it. And then going, obviously, I don't know if Me Too is really a thing anymore, but, it's so easy to act appropriately when you have your models on set or offset and they're changing, or offset and they're, respect people's privacy, speak to them, act appropriately and respectful. It's just not difficult to be a gentleman or a gentle lady. Just act appropriately. Don't touch them if you don't ask for permission first. Just, act in a way that is classy and how you would want to be treated. Right studio, right atmosphere, right people. Again, you're in the big leagues. So, set the stage. So again, the right kind of music, the right kind of studio. So, client area like this, you're shooting for L'Oreal, you're not going to take them to, Billy Bob's studio down the block and, have, a client area that doesn't look like this. Clients like to be schmoozed and well taken care of. You're working on a very high level. So, you have a catered breakfast and a catered lunch. You're not just ordering in Starbucks and, giving people Starbucks sandwiches, And again, so you're in the highest level studios like Studio Pinup in Paris, or, Milk Studio in Los Angeles or New York, and you're in these beautiful facilities. So when you're shooting fashion for magazines and you have celebrities on set, you're in a beautiful studio where everybody feels comfortable and everything, everything is on the level that it should be. That's how you get, you get hired, and that's how, you have a reputation for treating people well and setting the stage properly. And number 15, the final one is be confident. Most important thing, there's a lot of money on the line. There are a lot of players, there are a lot of people, there's a lot of things going on. You have celebrities on set, you have models on set, you have clients there, art directors, and everybody's looking to you to set the tone and set the stage and drive the bus and drive the show and be the ringleader. And it's really important that you're coordinating everything, and that everything is happening like a well-oiled machine. And so you need to have the confidence that, that all these moving parts becomes that, and you get the shot. And so, you're standing there, you're working, you're looking around, you're doing everything. And, you're just kind of chilling on set, and you're working, and you see everything. You're paying attention to everything. You're working actively with your talent to get them to how they need to be. And it all works out. So that's kind of the end of all my slides. I want to thank you. I want to thank Sony, and I want to thank B&H for this opportunity. I don't know if there are any other questions. So if there aren't any other questions, I am going to sign off with gratitude. And this is going to be available on the B&H YouTube as well. So anything that you might have missed, you can always go back and review. So I hope this was helpful. But again, come back on Thursday, and I'm going to dive in much deeper on sensibility, which I think is the hinge to everything about how this all comes together. So I'll see you guys on Thursday. Oh, and some just in the nick of time, who chooses on smaller, the music. So it's funny you say that. So on smaller shoots, on any shoot, honestly, I always ask the model what they want to hear, because they're the ones that are on set. They're the ones on camera. So ultimately, I don't care if a model wants to hear, music that is the country, or, industrial, just the worst music you could possibly think of. If that's going to make our model happy, and she's going to look, and she or he is going to look great on camera, let's play that music. I mean, obviously, if the client is like, I can't take it, we'll find a happy medium. But I always defer to the subject, the celebrity, the model. They're going to select music. If it's up to me, it's always the model. So anyway, again, I hope that helps. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Sony. Thank you, B&H. And we will see you next week. Come back on Thursday. Does the model bring the music? Sometimes, because, models will often have Spotify or Apple Music playlists, and they'll bring their Spotify or Apple Music playlists, and you can connect to speakers at the studio, and you can play it like that. And so at the studios, a lot of the time they have speakers that you can wire into, and that's how we work it out. And they will just play their Spotify or Apple Music playlists, and that's how they get their playlist in real time throughout the studio. So anybody else, before I sign off, I'm going. And, but do come back on Thursday, because I'm going to really get into the weeds on sensibility, because that is the only thing that's going to get you hired. That's why you're in the room. And that's what keeps you in the room once you get in the room, sensibility. So I'll see you guys on Thursday. And thank you again, Sony. Thank you, B&H.